Hello, this is Delia again. I'm reading the Vampire Diaries. I'm on chapter 6. And that's, I believe, is part 6. Or, I'm just not sure which one.
Not yet. A lot of gibberish.
Among other places, Damon said, still looking at Elena. He hadn't glanced at Sue once. Well, I like to travel. The world had snapped into place again around Elena. But it was a chilling world. There were people on every side, watching this exchange with fascination, keeping her from speaking freely. But they were also keeping her safe for whatever reason. Damon was playing a game, pretending to be one of them, and while the masquerade went on, he wouldn't do anything to her in front of the crowd, she hoped. A game, but he was making up the rules. He was standing here in Ramsey's dining room, playing with her. He was just down for a few days. Sue was continuing, helpfully, visiting friends, did you say, or relatives? Yes, said Damon. You're lucky to be able to take off whenever you want, Elena said. She didn't know what was possessing her to make her try and unmask him. Look has very little to do with it, said Damon. Do you like dancing? What's your major? He smiled at her. American folklore. Did you know, for instance, that a mole on the neck means you'll be wealthy? Do you mind if I check? I mind. The voice came back from behind Elena. It was clear and cold and quiet. Elena had heard Stefan speak in that tone once, only once, when he had found Tyler trying to assault her in the graveyard. Damon's fingers stilled on her throat and released from his spell. She stepped back. But do you matter, he said. The two of them faced each other under the faintly flickering yellow light of the brass chandelier. Elena was aware of layers of her own thoughts, like a parfait. Everyone's staring. This must be better than the movies. I didn't realize Stefan was taller. There's Bonnie and Meredith wondering what's going on. Stefan's angry, but he's still weak, still hurting. If he goes for Damon now, he'll lose. And in front of all these people, her thoughts came to a clattering halt as everything fell into place. That was what Damon was here for, to make Stefan attack him, apparently unprovoked. No matter what happened after that, he won. If Stefan drove him away, it would just be more proof of Stefan's tendency toward violence. More evidence for Stefan's accusers. And if Stefan lost the fight, it would mean his life, thought Elena. Oh, Stefan, he's so much stronger right now. Please don't do it. Don't play into his hands. He wants to kill you. He's just looking for a chance. She made her limbs move, though they were stiff and awkward as a marionette's. Stefan, she said, taking his cold hands in hers, let's go home. She could feel the tension in his body like an electric current running underneath his skin. At this moment, he was completely focused on Damon, and the light in his eyes were like fire reflecting off a dagger blade.
Damon can never know why you're here.
She didn't recognize him in this mood, didn't know him. He frightened her. Stefan, she said, calling to him, as if she were lost in fog and couldn't find him. Stefan, please. Slowly and slowly, she felt him respond. She heard him breathe and felt his body go off alert, clicking down to some lower energy level. The deadly concentration of his mind was diverted, and he looked at her and saw her. All right, he said softly, looking into her eyes, let's go. She kept her hands on him as they turned away, one clasping his hand, the other tucked inside his arm. By sheer force of will, she managed not to look over her shoulder as they walked away, but the skin on her back tingled and crawled as if expecting the stab of a knife. Instead, she heard Damon's low, ironic voice. And have you heard that kissing a red-haired girl cures fever blisters? And then Bonnie's outrageous, flattered laughter. And I will continue.